Hi, this is Professor Maryanne Shults. Today we'll talk about something most of us enjoy doing, and that's watching television. There's some who say that watching too much TV isn't good for us, that it has no educational value and has nothing to do with cognition. It's purely for entertainment. The quote here from anthropologist and communication expert Marcel Denisai says the medium that many people blame for helping to entrench our materialistic and shallow culture. Until a few years ago, with updates in technology, the average American watched television for about 5 hours a day. How's this possible? Because television is everywhere. You've probably all read 1984 by George Orwell. Not Big Brother's watching you, but we have moved somewhat into a dystopian society. But more like the numbing entertainment effects explained in Huxley's Brave New World. 2020 was not by any standard a typical year. Even the linear television universe, a familiar and cyclical staple of media, saw its fair share of oddities, halts in production of new and existing shows, delays in fall TV season premieres, and an overall sense of time lost became realities as Americans were forced to recalibrate to spending more time at home for the good of public health and their communities. And in all likelihood, the atypical nature of the year was profound enough to drive permanent shifts in consumer behavior, including media consumption. We saw many of those. The latest cable TV statistics reveal that television is a daily habit for most adults in the United States. In fact, all forms of television are projected to account for 2.5 of our 24 hours every day in 2023. Cable or satellite TV has a presence in about half of our lives in the U.S., with 56% of adults paying for the privilege. You'll see some other data here in this slide relative to cable television. Well, television has always been a popular pastime. The growing number of streaming services allow viewers to enjoy content they want to see when they want to see it. And this has led to a decline in traditional television viewing among some audiences because they're turning to VOD or video on demand platforms instead. According to a survey held in January 2022, over 1/3 of responding U.S. adults said that they watched or streamed television shows once a day or even multiple times a day. According to the Nielsen Corporation, few changes in the media industry are as defining as audiences' relationships with television. And the latest evolution capturing audiences' attention are streaming services, smart TVs, and the content they support. Ever since streaming video platforms came on the scene, there's been debate about how the new technology would impact traditional TV viewership. It wasn't until July 2022 that Nielsen showed streaming taking a larger piece of the pie than cable. It was also a narrow victory, with streaming accounting for 34.8%, while cable TV statistics took 34.4% of the audience. Streaming has only been gaining ground since then. By the final month of 2022, its share had grown to 38%, while cable TV had dipped to only 30%. As that gradual growth continued for streaming, marketers could now prepare to incorporate CTV or cable TV into their plans to account for the role streaming plays in the video sector. If you look at the far left of this graph, you'll see that in September of 2014, most households accessed their television content via cable. But by September of 2022, cable was still the main connection for television consumption. Although look at the jump to those who only get their television content via broadband, which is through the internet. If you look around your neighborhood, you may still see a few homes that have a television antenna on their roof. They are those who only have a connection to broadcast only, meaning they get their shows via what comes through the airwaves. How many times have you sat down and watched a show through a streaming service and then immediately watched the next several episodes? That's called binge watching, and it's become a habit for many people today. Almost three-quarters of Americans said they've binge watched a television show, which would entail three or more episodes of one show in one season. The demographics for those show that 90% of those are millennials and 87% are Gen Z. So they're mostly younger people. Ages 24 to 33, average binge watched 5 hours in one sitting. Now, there's pros and cons, according to the experts, of binge watching. Some of the positives are that binge watching establishes beneficial social connections. It also helps relieve stress. And some say it makes a show more fulfilling by watching consecutive episodes. The negatives are it can lead to mental health issues. Some people can actually become addicted to watching television and will watch for hour after hour after hour and get nothing else done. This can cause serious health problems. People aren't getting enough exercise. We have all heard that lecture before. And others say that by binge watching, it makes the show less fulfilling. People burn out quickly if they watch too much. Some actually did enjoy or do enjoy that waiting an entire week to see what will happen next. The majority of 18 to 44-year-olds in the U.S. prefer to binge watch a whole series. And that's according to 40% of respondents in a 2023 survey. You can see the data here. In comparison, the share of viewers aged 45 years and older, which was only 29% of the survey respondents, said that depends on the TV show, that's the most important thing. Do you program your life around a television? How many televisions are in your home? In these photos, you'll see these families gathered around the TV set. In the top photo, most likely that's the only television in the home. And I'm guessing it's evening because the lamp's on. When I was growing up in the 70s, our family evenings did usually mean all of us sitting down to watch some type of entertainment or drama after dinner. Today, most homes have more than one television, and there's such a variety in the types and sizes of televisions. Walk down the aisle next time you go into Costco, and you'll notice this variety, including the quality of the screens as well as the size. On the other hand, go in the other direction. You can watch your television on a tablet or even a smartphone. Television has become ubiquitous, meaning it's everywhere. It's in our hotel rooms, they're in airports, in schools, elevators, waiting rooms. Sometimes I've even seen them in washrooms in public restaurants, things like that, and at the gas stations. Next, we'll talk about the history of television.